Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another episode of the Just Seen podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking about advertising. All right. This one will be classified as, of course, EntrepreNEGUS 5 episodes. Parts 1 and 2 are on YouTube, but if I'm not mistaken, parts 3, 4, and this will be the 5th one are all here. And then going forward, anything that is EntrepreNEGUS related will be here. But of course, EntrepreNEGUS is, entrepreneur and negus merged together. Negus means, royalty or whatnot. So EntrepreNEGUS is business-minded royalty, But anywho, EntrepreNEGUS 5 advertising. Okay, so in the last time I spoke about my EntrepreNEGUS things, I was talking about marketing and the importance of marketing or whatnot. So I'm not gonna repeat a lot here on that, but I felt that it was necessary to go into the advertising part too, because these 2 points are different, and they differ from one another. And as an entrepreneur, that was something that I had to learn. I had to learn the difference between marketing and advertising. Selling something, which is advertising, and getting people to buy into something, which is marketing, are two totally different things. So it's like, most advertisers are hustlers. Because it's like how well I can sell something to you, but what we rarely, I ain't gonna say we, because I don't know what part of the journey you're in or whatnot, but I know that advertising is actually the last piece among the last pieces of business. There's so much that you have to do inside before you can just get out there and do things like that. And those are things that I had to learn. Those are things that I had to learn being, that I was just kind of starting this shit out. I started doing like MLMs and all of that other shit, and a lot of shit was pre-built for you. So, and because it was pre-built, all you had to do was follow a cookie cutter system. I didn't want to follow the cookie cutter system because I'm like, I have to know this shit by myself. Because if push comes to shove and I got to walk away from this, I can't walk away with no skills. You feel what I'm saying? So for me, it was a matter of learning each one of these pieces that go into the business aspect. And now I'm in the position of, advertising. And that's what I want to talk about. That's the vein I want to go down, because advertising is the final piece. Advertising is the piece that makes it start to move fluidly, Really advertising and marketing, but your advertising is going to get you to your marketing. You feel what I'm saying? Advertising is going to get you to your marketing. Your marketing is going to lead you to everything else that, you can fine tune the positions and stuff. So that's what I want to spend a little bit of time talking about today for the entrepreneurs out there, especially the budding ones. Want to give y'all a lot of the game that I had to find out earlier, a lot of the game that I had to search for and everything. Still, you're going to have to do some research and, get deeper into the deeper aspects into it, because, it's just a podcast episode. But, yeah, that's what we were talking about today. EntrepreNEGUS 5 advertising. But before we dive into it, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_sing_. Be sure to check out my website, IamJustSing.com, to get all things that are me. You can get my book, So Frail, Reality, Black Masculinity, So Frail, Too Toxic Femininity, Hitting It Raw, Living a Raw, Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life. If you would like to enroll in any of my courses, you can do so. I have Mastering the Market, a comprehensive guide to Forex trading, where I also teach how to read the markets for investing, and the Hitting It Raw program, where, assist you in transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle. You can also get my merchandise, shirts, hoodies, tees, socks, coffee cups, mugs, tote bags, everything that, you could pretty much think of. I create custom designs with the melody being in mind. What else? Of course, the podcast. And on each one of these different pages, you can follow the social media associated with it. And lastly, if you would like to book a session, chatting with scene session, where, we talk about anything you could think of. I have different packages that we can, meet with and speak about. You could do so. You can book a session at chatting with scene. And lastly, Much appreciation to everybody who likes. No, I said it wrong. Much appreciation to everybody who sponsors, tips, and donates to the podcast. You are greatly appreciated. You are greatly, greatly appreciated. Um, Anybody who would like to donate, tip, or sponsor, you can do so by clicking the description of your podcast. Cash App and PayPal is fine, and all things are in the description of your podcast. Not necessarily the episode, but the description of the podcast. It's all listed there. I think that's it. One more time, be sure to follow me on Instagram _just_sing_ and visit my website, IamJustSing.com. And we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to dive into EntrepreNEGUS 5 advertising. And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at Just Scenes merch and get your merchandise right now. All right. Welcome back. We're going to dive straight into advertising. All right. So as I said, when it comes to, being an entrepreneur, advertising is a very, very important piece. But advertising is it's among the last pieces that you have to incorporate into your brands, into your businesses, into everything that you do, because the advertising is how you reach the people. It's how you reach the people that you need. And it's not simple enough where you have to, you got to keep this in mind. You can't sell to everybody. Not only can you not sell to everybody, you will not sell to everybody. And that's fine. You need to break the mentality of thinking that you have to sell to everybody, that you will sell to everybody, but you need to sell to who's important. You need to sell to who's going to buy. That's one of the quintessential pieces of advertising. You want to get your products, you want to get your brand in front of people who want to buy it. Okay? That's where advertising comes in. It's not so much as getting it to everybody. Don't focus on that. Focus on getting it to who wants to buy. So that's what advertising is about. But the first point of advertising, right? It's not even selling your product. It's selling yourself. Okay? People don't buy people look, see, the thing about the thing that you have to offer, people are going to buy it anyway. Especially when you break over that wall and you just say, okay, I have to get my shit in front of people who want to buy it. All right. Overcome that hurdle, and that's a third of the battle. You feel me? Understanding who wants to buy it, right? So why should they buy it from you? And that's where the most important piece of advertising comes in my opinion. And the most important piece of advertising is selling yourself. Can people buy you? You feel what I'm saying? That's what you have to ask yourself as an entrepreneur. Can people buy you? A lot of times when people start out, first, one mentality that you really have to break too is the hater mentality. Oh, they just haters if they don't want my shit. No, they don't want to buy you. They don't want to buy you or buy into what you have. They don't want to buy you. Like, people are buying you. The experience that you can give them regarding your product, regarding your brand, regarding whatever it is that you're promoting. People have to buy you. They have to find what it is about you that they fuck with. Then they will buy. If people aren't buying from you, then you can't just assume that, something's wrong with my product, or you just can't assume that something's wrong with them. There's a disconnect. And that disconnect is in your advertising, but it starts with you not being able to sell yourself. There's a difference between branding yourself and selling yourself. Anybody can brand themselves. Like, branding yourself is easy. It's just branding yourself is developing who you are in conjunction with your businesses, in conjunction with what you are. That's why some people have faces. So that's how you end up with endorsements. That's how, like, people, they know that people are going to buy into something based off of the face that they see. So if they can buy into that person, everything will be a go. So your thing is that you have to get people to buy into you. which is a very easy and it's a very difficult thing, because the missing piece to that is knowing yourself. You have to know who you are. You can't think, about who you are. You can't just put on a mask. You have to truly know who you are, because you have to know how to deliver yourself at all points in time. Who's going to be the one who gets to you? Who's going to be your audience? Who's going to be the people that really fuck with you on that level to give you money? Because you got to think about it. People work hard for their money. People work hard for the money. Regardless how frivolously they spend it, regardless how much you think people blow their money, their money has value to them. So they need to understand that I'm going to give you my money because I fuck with you. Okay? So you have to be able to sell yourself, which means you have to be able to know yourself. You have to know the ins and outs about yourself. You have to know how you are around certain people. You have to know how you are in certain situations. You have to know everything about yourself. And then you have to work on making that version, making not that version, the full aspect of yourself, likable, lovable, appreciable. Like, people have to be able to see the value in you before they can see the value in your shit. You feel what I'm saying? People have to see the value in you before they can see the value in shit, no matter how good your shit is. You feel me? This was a lesson that I learned early on when I first wrote So Frail. You feel me? I sold as many books as I could to my followers on Instagram. You feel what I'm saying? And I had this mentality that, I got this amount of followers, so everybody's going to buy a book, because everybody reads my captions. Everybody likes my words and shit, so they going to like my books. And nope. Because everybody had not bought into who I was. You feel what I'm saying? Now, the people that bought into who I was, it was a no-brainer. They bought it. You feel what I'm saying? But then it was like, I can't keep reselling it to them. You feel what I'm saying? I can't keep reselling it to them. Now, they have expanded, they bought one book and they started buying books for other people and shit like that. But it was a matter of knowing that, okay, I had to learn how to advertise my shit, right? I can't just say, hey, I got a good book. I got a good book. Amazon is this, like Amazon has this many stars on it, whatever the case may be. You got to advertise, You got to advertise. If you want to be selling shit every single day, you must advertise. You must advertise. And it's not as simple, and it's not as basic as, okay, if I just post every day. That was my initial thing. I just got to post every day and I should be good. Nope. Because I was posting, I didn't realize that I was posting so much content that a lot of the shit that I was, when I was trying to sell my shit, you feel me? It was getting lost in translation. I would have moments where I would run a discount and people wouldn't act on it. I'm like, what the hell happened? And it was, people say, oh, damn, how did I miss that? You tell me, motherfucker, I don't know. You always on my page. That's what I was always assuming. You always on my page, but then now you want to talk about you missed this. Can I give you an extension? No. I can't give you an extension. That's how it was in the beginning. You feel me? That's how it was in the beginning. But I had to realize that I needed to be selling myself more, not just trying to sell my products. I got to sell myself first. I have to make people realize that, I'm worth buying from. You feel me? I'm worth buying from. And so it came into knowing myself a lot more, because I had to realize, what is it about me that people like? It's easy to identify what it is about people, what it is about you that people like. But I also had to realize, what is it about me that people don't like? Because sometimes we can get caught up in this illusion of, this, so many people can fuck with you, but everybody don't fuck with you. So you can realize that because so many people fuck with you, you'll get into that mentality of, man, fuck the people who don't. No. Because the people who don't fuck with you may still want your product, but you have to find a way to get to them too. You feel what I'm saying? Now, this is not to say be fake, be fraudulent or anything like that. I try to stay true as to myself 100% as possible, and remain authentic. Some people just they can't buy it. They can't have it. But you know what I'm saying? I've learned, what is it that you can use to overcome that barrier? You feel what I'm saying? So that came in learning how to sell myself. I also had to learn what aspects of myself could make people sell, could make people buy from me, whether they like me or dislike me. Right? Because people will buy shit they don't like. Case in point, I was on Twitter and I seen this dude. He did a whole thread about exposing women on OnlyFans. Right? He exposed women on OnlyFans. He said, "I'm gonna find their parents and I'm gonna send their shit." So he was feeding these women because he disliked them. I'm gonna tell you how. OnlyFans, you have to actually pay to get the pictures and get the videos and shit. You feel me? That's no mystery. So in order for him to expose that these women were on OnlyFans with the explicit pictures to their parents and shit, to their boyfriends, to their loved ones, or whatever it is that he was trying to do, he had to give them the money to do so. You dig what I'm saying? So in his dislike for that, you feel what I'm saying? He was still willing to put money into it in order to expose them. So he, and I was saying this a while back. I was like, yo, you paid for some shit that you could ignore for free. You feel what I'm saying? So that's an aspect of advertising. Like, you could still be well-rounded in that, and you can even sell to people who dislike you. You feel me? Without having to change yourself, because you have to keep in mind that people are going to buy for, people are mainly attracted to things that are controversial or sex-based. You feel what I'm saying? For the most part. Then you have the inspirational parts and all of that shit. So you have to understand what makes people buy, what drives people to buy. Like, when you think about how people say, I have haters, or whatever the case may be, you can still sell to your haters, but it's a matter of still knowing yourself and still selling yourself. That connects to them, because deeper than that, people buy off of emotion. 9 times out of 10, somebody's going to make an emotional buy. You feel me? So if there's a way that you could trigger that emotion in them and do it within a state of integrity, a state of honesty, regardless of whether they like you or not, you can make that sell. So the point that I was going through with that was that when I had to change that scope a little bit as far as advertising, because I was like, yo, fuck it. I'm just not going to fuck with these people, because I knew that these people really still like my information based off of the fact that the shit that I've observed them do. You feel me? I observed them pay attention to. I'm like, yo, you always on masculinity, but yet it was me. So I said, okay, how can I flip that to say, okay, yeah, you still don't like me. So what? You still don't like the shit that I do. But how can I get you to buy? And I had a person buy something from me who didn't like anything that I did. You feel me? Because they felt like I would always be like siding with women or anything like that. And then it kind of broke to where it was like, okay, so I had a book. The title of my book was So Frail, A Reality of Black Masculinity. And I was always siding with women. So his perspective was that, yo, you fucking with, you act like those Instagram pages who act like the women ain't doing nothing wrong, who I was trying to hype them up to make. I said, nah, that's not what I'm doing. I said, if you check So Frail out, you see why I am this way with women. That was my way in with him, despite him not liking what I was presenting, right? That was my way in. I was like, yo, check out So Frail and you'll see why. It was like, nah, you just bashing men again. I said, well, if that's what you feel, then I said, yo, you won't know until you check it out. I said, because there's a very fine line, kind of got into it. I was like, there's a very fine line between me bashing and disliking men and then my brother still fucking with me. You feel what I'm saying? I said, how is it that my brother's still fucking with me? Because there's an aspect of me that you don't know. You feel what I'm saying? So he eventually got the book. First book, second book. Now he's waiting on the third. You feel what I'm saying? And it created relationships where he's like, damn, bro, like, I didn't know that. I said, I know you did. You feel me? I know you did. But it turned him from the dislike of what I was talking about to where now when he sees me speaking about why we need to be better with women, he's like, oh yeah, I understand that aspect because I read So Frail now. You feel what I'm saying? So that changed my advertising approach, because I'm like, okay, I also got to get to people who don't like me, people who are not going to like what I'm about to present. You feel what I'm saying? And I could leverage them. Another case in point, I was running an ad for So Frail books, right? And on the comment of the ad and shit, dude says, he said, man, shut the fuck up. Cause I had a video up and shit. I'm gonna get into that to the purpose of that. So I had a video up and he was like, man, shut the fuck up. And I could have argued with him. You know, I could have deleted the comment, but I used it. I leveraged it. You feel me? Because I'm talking about So Frail, the reality of black masculinity, how masculinity needs to be intact and all these different things. So when he responds with, man, shut the fuck up, that helped with the advertising. Because once he did that, I was like, all I responded was case in point. And then when I did like 4 or 5 people, like right after that, just put hearts and likes and laughed and shit, I bought into him. I leveraged your dislike for me to make other people like me. And I said, case in point, do you see what I'm just talking about and how this person just exhibited? But I didn't bash him. I didn't go into a full argument. I just had a simple statement. I said, case in point, and then kept it pushing. You feel what I'm saying? So being able to know yourself makes it easier to sell yourself. You know what I'm saying? No matter what venue you're in, no matter where you are, learn that aspect of knowing yourself and selling yourself as an entrepreneur, because that's what people are buying. People are buying you. You feel what I'm saying? Had I spazzed out on the dude and everything like that, I would have contradicted my own brand. I would have contradicted the own thing I stood on about how masculinity means that we control our emotions. Not only did I show that my emotions are in control, I showed that I can't let other people can't get to me through the masculinity that I have. Just say, all right, case in point. Like, do y'all see what I'm talking about? See this shit? You feel me? So in learning that, you learn how to truly tap into that, right? And this now segues into the next point, because he was a part of the audience that I was looking for, but he wasn't my audience. You see what I'm saying? Like, I have to understand those 2 points. You have to understand the audience that you're looking for, which could be cold, hot, whatever the case. Your audience that you're looking for, you have to advertise to them. But within the audience that you're looking for, some people may not be your audience. They could just be there. You feel me? That's not who you need to be fucking with. But at the same time, you can still use them because they are still within the audience. That's how, because he was in the audience, but he wasn't the audience I was looking for, I was able to leverage him as the case in point guy. That's what I'm gonna call him if I mention him again. He's the case in point guy. You dig what I'm saying? But audiences are important to know, because to know your audience, after you know that, okay, I have to sell myself, now I have to sell myself to a certain type of people. People who are looking for what I have. People who are looking for what I have. That was one of my biggest things, because the arrogance of myself, and that's the only thing that I can call it, assume that because I had such a good book, because people kept telling me that my book was good, that I thought everybody wanted my book. You dig what I'm saying? And that was the case, but it wasn't the case. Everybody within the audience of people that fucked with the book, that the content within my book, were the people who liked my book. So I had to fine tune it, because I was trying to give my book to people who couldn't get it. Like, I would try to sell it to, I felt like all men should have my book. Just because y'all are men and it's time for, no, that's not the case. And I learned that when trying to sell my book. It's like, yo, every dude that I talked to that didn't buy, first thing they would say, my masculinity straight. All right, you're missing the point, but all right, you feel me? So I had to learn, okay, you're not my audience. You're not my audience. My audience is not men who think they're already okay. You feel me? I'm not saying anything is wrong with them. But if that wall is there, you feel what I'm saying? And I can't overcome that objection, right? And that's another point of advertising too, overcoming objections. Certain objections you can't overcome. You feel me? So don't try. You'll know when you can get over an objection. You feel what I'm saying? But certain objections you can't. If I'm trying to sell you a book about masculinity, and you're telling me my masculinity straight, I don't need to go any further. You're omitted from my audience. If you get it, you'll have to be somebody who gets it on the outskirts, who has to get it off of, oh shit, I didn't know about this. I thought this was going to be something different. Yeah, but I can't waste my time advertising. I can't waste my time focusing on you as a part of my audience. You're not it. You feel what I'm saying? So your audience is very, very important. You need to find out what things revolve around your audience. So and you got to be detailed in finding your audience. I know it seems like, you don't want to be too lasered down and find it in, but you need to be as lasered in as possible so you can omit the bullshit. You feel what I'm saying? And fine tune the different things. So, for example, my audiences for each one of my different brands and different pieces under my umbrella all catered are all catered to differently. I don't advertise. I can't advertise hitting it raw to So Frail people. You feel me? I don't advertise my merch to my podcast people. You feel what I'm saying? I don't advertise my podcast to my trading people because they're all different people. You know what I mean? And as entrepreneurs, a lot of times in our beginning stages, we think everybody's going to fuck with us. No, everybody's going to fuck with what you have according to what they want to fuck with. You feel what I'm saying? So again, that was one of my biggest issues. I was like, okay, let me follow everybody who's on my main page to each one of my different brands and say, okay, yeah, I was more so trying to convert them as opposed to trying to give them what they were already looking for. That's a very quintessential piece in finding your audiences too, knowing that it's not about converting people. It's about giving people what they're looking for. Your audience has to be looking for what you have, not trying to be converted because that's so much harder to do. You feel what I'm saying? So, for example, with So Frail, I look at, people, of course, that are in the African-American community, culture, Black people. You feel what I'm saying? I don't try to extend outside of that. I don't, because you're not going to get it. You feel me? Because the book is more cultural based. It's a lot of information, a lot of things that are based off of the culture that we have. You feel what I'm saying? Within that book. So it's like, off rip, you're not going to understand the culture. You're not going to like the book. So why waste my time giving it to you? Okay. Next thing I do is I look for people who are looking for masculinity. And this is all forms of masculinity. Toxic masculinity, healthy masculinity, divine masculinity, all of these different pieces. I find those people, within that umbrella. And then the last piece, one of the last pieces, now this is what I'm looking for, like a broader audience. But one of the last pieces is people who read. That was one of the biggest pieces. I'm like, everybody doesn't fucking read. Just because they can read a caption on Instagram and social media doesn't mean they're going to read a fucking book. Some people, and then you have to also understand the content within your book or within whatever it is. I'm using my book, for example. A lot of people can sight read and not many people can comprehend. There's no shot or no slight at those people. My book needs comprehension. You can't just read it if you're a sight reader. You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it at all. And I had to learn that because I would make captions. I would try to sell my books to people who had read my captions and didn't get it. They were like, yo, what do you mean by this, that, and the third? I'm like, I literally laid it all out. Like, I answered your very question already. So I asked him, did you read the caption? Yeah, I read the caption. But there was sight reads, see buzzwords, and then go from there. You feel what I'm saying? This shit needs to be digestible. So I had to look for people who are actually active readers, who are into reading, who are into books. I don't need to be fucking with people who are just liking and sharing captions and shit. You feel what I'm saying? So that was how I learned how to find my audiences. And then I had to appeal to the audience. You feel what I'm saying? I had to appeal to the audience. As far as masculinity goes, I can appeal to the women off of that just by the title of the book. It's not, I don't know, trying to be sexist shit, but I had to know the other, like the demographics too. You feel me? Appealing to your audience is about knowing the demographics. Masculinity, all women keep talking about is masculinity being toxic, masculinity being frail, masculinity being toxic, fragile, and all this shit. The title of the book is So Frail, a reality to Black masculinity. You feel me? And I'm hitting the buzzwords that women are looking for with men who are, emotionally available. That's easier to get to them. The men, it's different. So I still had to cater to them too. Because I had to realize, I had a lot of pride. I had different things that I know that are eating men up that they're like, I keep hearing that shit about my masculinity. Tap into that. You feel what I'm saying? But I can only present it. I had appeal to my audience, one, through selling myself. What is it? I can easily tell the story. Yeah, our masculinity ain't shit. Men ain't this, men ain't that. Like a lot of these guys do. And that's what repels them. I'm like, yo, bro, I tell the stories about me growing up without a father. I tell the stories about how I had to figure this shit out on my own. I tell these different stories because I tap into what we're already going into. So the part of myself that I sell is the part that is relatable to the person. That's the part that's going to appeal to the audience that I'm looking for. You dig what I'm saying? It's going to appeal to the audience that I'm looking for. So you appeal to your audiences according to, what the very thing is that you can get to them and how you can give it to them. You feel me? It's not about, okay, buy it now. No. It's why should you fuck with me? Because I fucks with this. You feel me? I fucks with this. I actively do this shit too. When it comes to like my plant-based course, I have to look for people who are looking to transition into the plant-based lifestyle. You feel me? There's no point in looking for people who are already plant-based. That defeats the purpose. Now, as far as now, I will go up a little bit higher and sell them the book so they can get a different insight on that. And then I leverage those people who are already plant-based who read the book to say, hey, yo, check this book out, man. This shit is hilarious. It's quick. It's simple. And if you read, like, they give it to the people who they know want to transition. You feel me? So when you're appealing to your audiences, like I said, you have to know what level the audience is in, what part of the system that audience sits at for what you're trying to get them to. So knowing your audience is one thing, but then now you have to know how to appeal to your audience. So knowing what your audience is and what your audience isn't, and then how to appeal to that. You feel me? Don't even try to go for the people who don't appeal to who aren't in your audience just yet. They have to come in off the outskirts. They have to come in off, you know what I mean? So don't worry about them. Eliminate them off rip, So you have to learn how to sell yourself. You have to learn how to sell yourself. And that's the first point you have to have. You have to sell yourself to the audience who wants what you're looking for. And then you have to appeal to that audience that you've already found, that works for you. Because in the appeal, you're going to start to learn a difference between a customer and a client. Okay? The customers and the clients. Now, the customers and the clients, they're synonyms, but they're not the same thing. Customers buy shit. Clients invest in shit. All right? Remember that. Which means that customers typically are going to want a discount. You have to give them something. You feel me? Clients are just going to pay full price and probably pay more. That is a client. You feel me? A customer, you're probably going to experience them one time. A client, they're going to come back. They're going to be repeating. They're going to buy multiple things from you. They're going to fuck with you on a whole different level. You feel what I'm saying? They're going to fuck with you on a whole different level. So in understanding how to appeal to my audience, I had to understand, am I fucking with a customer or am I fucking with a client? Will I be fucking with a customer or will I be fucking with a client? My merch is for customers and clients, but initially my merch is for customers. I don't intend, because when people, whatever I'm advertising, whatever I'm marketing for that, like whether I'm doing a certain collection, like the Crown collection, or if I'm doing the Know Thyself collection, or if I'm doing, when summer comes back around after Rona and shit, like I'm glad I didn't run this one because it was pointless. But the Somebody's Son Summer collection, I have one for that, you know what I mean? Because we were supposed to get popping this year, but whatever, fucking COVID. But each one of these different collections that I put my designs in caters to a different type of people. You feel what I'm saying? When I first started trying to advertise my merchandise, it was just like, okay, get it to people who like shirts. Get it to people who want tees and hoodies. Nah, because now I have to find that's an oversaturated market, and I'm looking for customers. It's gonna be a lot harder because customers are gonna want discounts. They're gonna want to see what it is about you that makes me want what you have a lot better than what I have for everybody else, what everybody else is offering. You feel what I'm saying? So the customers are slightly different from the clients. Now, for the clients, as far as my merch, I appeal to them as well because I have collections. So within the collection, it's multiple designs and multiple styles. The Crown collection. I have his and hers versions of merch. I have different designs that have different symbolisms in them. And so the clients fuck with it for that. So anytime I come out with something new, it's like, hey, I want that too. I want that too. It expands into what they can get. I just made a new client a few days ago, and I showed her what's called it's from the Fun Side collection, which is just anything that I do that's random that I feel like doing. But this particular design was called Unbothered. So I have cups, I have I have tote bags, everything that, but it's catered solely to women from that Unbothered brand, that Unbothered extension. It's catered solely to them. She ended up buying a shirt, a tote bag, and a coffee mug because it all went together. You dig what I'm saying? And she now is like, yo, if you come out with anything else unbothered, like, nah, unbothered is pretty done, but I ain't gonna tell you that. But it made them go into, oh, let me see what the other collections are. Let me see what the other pieces are to these things and how you make them work. And, so Crown Collection, that is basically about, royalty and things of that nature. So people buy into these different things, and that helps with the advertising because now you give them options, and that helps define what the customer and the client is. The customers are typically only going to buy one thing and it has to catch them right then. Clients are really going to be the ones who spend the time with your stuff and say, hey, I really want to fuck with this. I really like this. You feel me? I really feel that I should be involved in this. You know what I mean? And they'll keep coming back. My biggest client, and she's been my biggest client since I was 2, and that's my big sister. I don't give a fuck what it is. Now, my whole family supports me, but when I say my big sister is the motherfucker of the motherfuckers, like, I don't care what it is that I'm doing. She will support me. If I do a jam session or some shit, she blast that shit. Y'all check my little brother out. If like, she's my biggest customer. She's my biggest client, period. She buys all my shit, anything that I create. I think she has the most designs of anybody that I know of. You feel me? And multiple things. She has so many different designs. Every time I come out with a new one, she buys it. You feel me? But that's a client. You feel me? That's a client. And that is what you want to get yourself into. That's who you eventually want to be advertising to, people with client potential. No more excuses. It is time to take your trading to the next level. Mastering the Market, a comprehensive guide to Forex trading, is an 8-week comprehensive course that teaches you how to trade, read, and understand the markets. From the candles to the entries and the exits, you will gain the insight necessary to make profitable trades while greatly reducing your risks. Even more, you learn how to take these skills and apply them to long-term investing outside of Forex in areas such as stocks, commodities, ETFs, and so much more. It's your time to put the power in your own hands and master the market. So visit www.thejustseenacademy.teachable.com to enroll today. And always remember, the future is yours, but only when you create it. You feel what I'm saying? So this requires you to, in your advertising, pay close attention to the type of people that are buying things. Do they buy multiple things? Do they buy different things? Because now you want to filter out and look for that. The customers are going to be, oh, you don't have a sale going on. You don't have this. Customers are the people that have difficulty buying into you, but they still want your shit. But they have difficulty buying into you. That's why they like, is it really worth it? Is it really this? Like, you have to realize that you have to deal with those people too. You can't brush them to the side. You feel me? Don't brush those people to the side. Trust me, because they'll still buy from you. Customers will still buy. Clients will buy too, but customers will still buy. And you can't brush them off just because they say no, or just because they say, I don't want to. Now, this is not to say this is people that are hating on you, shitting on you. Nah, not them. Just people I didn't buy right now. I don't want to buy right now, but I need an incentive to buy. Then from the future on, they'll buy full price or whatever the case may be, but they're going to want discounts. They're going to want, So you have to learn how to appeal to each person, both the customer and the client, but you have to understand the difference between the two. Typically, you're going to need to run discounts. You're going to have to give free shit away. You're going to have to do certain things as far as your advertising to get customers in. Clients, initially, you'll have to do that too, but with the client, they're more prone to buy things. So this is now going into when you're advertising, advertise to people who are buyers, who are spenders, who will spend the money. You feel me? Sometimes we try to sell things to people who don't spend the money. You know, like when I was talking about So Frail, I sell So Frail books to people who are readers. But in addition to that, they have to be book buyers. Some people only steal and download PDFs. So it's like, you feel what I'm saying? You never, like, you got to know what you're appealing to. And it's a lot of different market research that goes into that to understand what your audience is going to be. That's why advertising and marketing typically go together, but they're still separate entities. Your advertising is going to lead you to your marketing, because your advertising is going to show who really came in, who really paid attention to this. Now, my marketing is going to now, those two things are going to be interchangeable, because as you study your marketing and you study those different ploys that are starting to see, okay, this person bought, this person didn't, this person did, so I can move this person out, I can leave this person out, I can put more emphasis on this person and now go find people more like this person. You feel what I'm saying? That's what the marketing piece is, and that helps you refine your audience, which helps you refine your marketing, refine your audience. That's why they go hand in hand in many cases, but they're still separate entities, right? And your advertising is based off of going for customers and clients. You feel what I'm saying? So when your audience is built and then your audience is appealed to, that's who you now know who you're going to appeal to, either a customer or a client. If you have a customer, typically you have to, they're going to need some kind of, push to get into your shit. You feel me? At the beginning of the day, you have to treat everybody like customers if you're new. If you're just starting, everybody has to be treated like a customer. So there's things that you have to do for them. You know, things that you have to be willing to do for them. You know, you have to, everybody is going to fuck with you if you give them something free. Right? But it's what you give them for free that determines how well they're going to fuck with you, right? For example, I have my So Frail books, advertising and marketing on autopilot. I don't touch it anymore. I don't fuck it. I have my audience set. I have everything set. I have my marketing on the backside. I don't touch it anymore. But what I do is I start my advertising, you know, with videos showing my face. That's the first way to get people to buy into you. They have to know who you are, what you look like, how you sound, like how they appeal to all of that shit. You feel what I'm saying? And you have to be able to capture them, know who you are in these things at the beginning, right? So with my So Frail leg of my brand, it's in autopilot now. I don't have to touch it. I have all of my emails set. I have everything done. I have the right timing and all of that shit. So I have it set that way because the initial advertising, automatically, if you're in a cold audience, if I have never seen you before, you never interacted with anything that I do, I now give you something free. So for example, I say, click now, sign up, because this is a give and take thing. Sign up, give me your email address, or I say, where should I send your free chapter of So Frail a Reality to Black Men Masculinity, right? And I give them the first chapter that defines it. Off rip, I already know that when you read this chapter, you're going to want more. Not on any arrogant stuff, but it's like to know, because you're getting a different perspective. It automatically starts fucking with your mind. It's like, damn, I really didn't look at masculinity like this. Now I have to read more. But you only got that one chapter. So now I now I have it set up for about like 2 days to wait. And then I send you an email. And ask you, hey, how did you like the chapter? What did you think about it? Bam. Because these are all clients. These are all customers now. But I have to turn them into clients and say, do this. If you order both books right now, it's a limited time only. You got 3 days to do it. Order both books right now. I take 20% off of both of them. Right? That locks them in if they're going to buy. You know, and then it's like I have all of the marketing to know who's who, what's what, where they're going. So it all starts with the advertising, but the advertising now brings them into the marketing. And then the marketing is what connects them. The marketing is what, hey, did you check this out? Hey, did you see this? Hey, how'd you feel about this? Hey, what'd you think about this? Hey, it's all these different points. And this is where I stand with it. This is what I feel you should fuck with. And that keeps everything in loop. So your goal with advertising is to bring them in to the marketing that you can put in autopilot so you don't have to touch it again. So the advertising comes into me running Facebook ads, Instagram ads, different ad functions and shit to get people's attention. Get people's attention. You have to have that thing to grab them and keep them. So, I'll go into other things of that nature on another future podcast, but this is just, going over the overview of advertising. So it's like each one of these different things, I have created a system where it's like, I don't want to touch this anymore. I don't want to touch this anymore. This works. Now I funnel you into here, funnel you to there, funnel you into there, funnel you to there. And then I start to eliminate people. Did you buy? Did they not buy? What part of the email list are you on? How did you feel about this, that, and the third? And from that point, it started to show me that, okay, this is something that works. I have to now use my advertising with my marketing. So I leverage and I treat everybody initially as a customer. And I see who becomes a client. The clients are typically going to be the people who buy both books. The clients are going to be the people who act on what I give them. Customers are typically going to be, okay, I can find it somewhere else. You still bought it from me, but whatever. You feel me? Customers are the people that'll be like, that'll ask me, I'm trying to sell my book. Like, is it on Amazon? Because this is not going to segue into the next part about advertising. They ask me, is it on Amazon? Because they need social proof. Social proof is who else fucks with it. Customers, you have to keep in mind, customers, if you don't have social proof, it's going to be hard to get customers. It's also going to be a little bit harder to get clients too, but it's going to be real hard to get customers because customers need social proof. They need to say, okay, this is important enough that more people are fucking with it. You feel what I'm saying? So that's why it gets to a point where typically they will ask, like, is it on Amazon? Yes, it's on Amazon. They go to Amazon and they see all of the stars. They see all the quality, verified reviews and everything. They're like, yo, bam, they go ahead and get it. I prefer them to buy it directly from me, but I also prefer them to buy the book. And typically the people that started at the beginning of the funnel, they only buy so frail. But they come back and then they get number 2. They come back and now they're on the waiting list for number 3 because they're like, okay, cool. I have turned those people from customers into clients. So when SoFrail 3 drops, I already have anticipated sales already waiting for it. Those are people I don't have to question if they're going to buy anymore. I'm going to have to send them an email and say, hey, SoFrail 3 is out. Go ahead and get it. And they'll know to get it from me. You feel what I'm saying? Or they'll get it from Amazon, wherever they're going from, because there's other factors that play into that. Like Amazon has the Prime. Most motherfuckers got Prime now, so they're like, I can get the book. I can order it, get it in 2 days. You feel me? And that's what I noticed that a lot of people have been doing. But they leave in reviews. So that works for me because that gives me social proof. You feel me? Social proof is a very, very powerful piece that you want to use in your advertising. When I first run to kick off the ads, my advertising, for SoFrail, first thing I did was I ran it only to people who like and comment and share shit. That's it. You feel what I'm saying? People who there's literally people who don't do anything else on social media except like shit. And so I put it in front of those people. Oh, let me like this. Let me share this. Let me like this. Let me share this. Let me like this. Let me share this. And then I take that and then I expand that into, okay, now I'm going to get to people who now click links. Not only click links, but they view the page. You feel what I'm saying? So now they view the page and now I have this. And all this time I'm collecting this data, so now I can fine tune it. So once it gets to a certain point, I can literally target only people who are both going to like it and click the link and view what's there. And then after that, once I get enough data on that, then I expand into the to the realm of, okay, now let me only put this information in front of people who are spenders, which means people who have bought something in the last week or who have bought something in the last 30 days or people who frequently use and buy shit online. Online shoppers, like that's who I would go for. You feel me? That is who my audience would be. You feel what I'm saying? And it's incorporated with everything else. So then it creates a system that runs by itself. And then when I'm ready, when I feel like, okay, I've reached all the people that I can, what I do is I create this thing called a lookalike audience. I do this on social media and shit. But I create a lookalike audience who is, here's another 1,000, here's another 2,000, not 2,000. Here's another 2 million people who look and have the same behaviors of the same motherfuckers you were just fucking with. That's more fine-tuned. And it's like, bam, give it to them. And then I noticed that it just happens faster and faster and faster and faster and faster to the point now it's just like, and I have it. And because I have it set up where I don't have to touch so many different things, everything is like, I don't have to worry about printing my books. I don't have to worry about shipping my books. I made sure I set that up for a reason. Because I don't like inventory. I don't like any of this shit. So all of this backside shit is done. SoFrail is in autopilot. The So Frail book series, the brand thing, it's an autopilot now. I don't have to touch it ever again. If I just decide I want to turn it off or I want to change my audience, those are the little fine tweaking points that I have to do. But from beginning to end, the advertising, the marketing, the selling myself, the branding, everything is already set. I have the social proof. I have so many different things that are tied to it. So it's like, for me, there's no more work. There's no more work. But I had to get to this point. You feel what I'm saying? I had to get to this point, you know? And one of the biggest pieces was that I had to realize how I was going to beat my competition. To get to this point, I had to realize, what can I do to beat my competition? Right? Because there's two aspects. You have to beat your competition, then you have to be your competition. And here's what I'm express with that. When beating my competition, I had to realize what books are out there pertaining to masculinity that I'm in essence going to be competing with. You feel me? So I looked at all of the top books on masculinity, top books about how men self-improvement and betterment. Honestly, ain't none of them touching what I got. Ain't nothing touching what I got based off of the demographics and the culture that I have. You feel what I'm saying? The black men are reading books like Superior, The Way of the Superior Man. That I ain't gonna hold you. That's like up there with me, but I have a differentiating factor between that. You feel what I'm saying? I have a clearly defined differentiating factor, but it was Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. I'm crushing that shit. That's not even like, you feel me? Because not only I've changed the game, because it's like, I'm not telling women just to adjust to how we are. I'm telling men to be better. Automatically knock that off the wall. You feel what I'm saying? You know, so you have to know your competition when you're advertising. Know your competition well and know what the people are reading. Now, because of that, I also had to look at people who, if I try to step in their realm, they're going to beat me. I'm not even going to lie about it. I know which authors are going to beat me out based off of the information that I've written. Not because my book is in quality, but because the content I know is in my book. I cannot target the religious male authors talking about masculinity because they're talking about religion. I'm not talking about it from a religious perspective. In fact, in my books, I'm speaking about religion as a function of how it affects masculinity. You feel what I'm saying? I can't bang with that audience. I don't even try because I know what a religious mind does. So I'm like, I'm not fucking with y'all. Now, if my shit happens to slither into your lane, cool, check it out. But you feel me? I'm not coming to them as, hey, my book is, now don't get me wrong, I never pop up on no shit like, yo, my book is better than this person's, but I know what audience is reading this information. You feel what I'm saying? Then I look at other titles like, you know, I stay on Amazon's analytics too. As far as So Frail, like I stay on Amazon's analytics and I see what books are people that's like, my book now is next to, man, this is just I got to give myself a moment of modesty because I'm proud of myself for this. Like my book is next to things like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's book about, I seen it next to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's book, several other prominent black books that I'm like, yo, bro, my name is right beside them. Like, damn. That shit is like, yo, and these are classics that people talk about on a regular basis. Yo, you need to read this book. And I'm reading on Amazon. It's like, yo, my book is in line with those. You feel what I'm saying? So that shows me, okay, this is what other people are buying, just like my book. So now it's forming my book into a different niche. So now I can know, okay, cool. Now it ain't about beating them. It's just show, yo, I'm with y'all too. I'm here too. I'm in this space too. And if people are buying both and people who have bought both are in this, like that gives me more of a audience, a newer audience to refine my shit too. But I just had to give myself that pat on the back. Forgive me on that one. But in beating your competition, you have to know what your competition is doing and how they relate to you. What is it that makes you stand out from them? You know, act like a lady, think like a man. I knew I was able to beat that because I said, don't act like a man. Continue to act like a lady and think like a lady, but men be better. Boom. All right, that was already 1-2 punch for that. You feel what I'm saying? That was already 1-2 punch for that. So that was one of the first audiences that I ever targeted. You feel me? But I had to keep in mind that within this audience is a religious construct. I can't bang with that. I can't bang with that religious construct. So because I knew that, I said, okay, let me step away from it. Because, you know, you'll get through the first 8, 9 chapters and be all on it until religion comes up. Then it's like, it makes you literally look at your religion differently because, it does really suppress masculinity by these particular things, you know. So I had to focus on that, you know. But you had those people that are, you know, I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious, the type shit. Like, I still target those. You feel me? So when it comes to beating my competition, I realized that, you know, I had to know what they were about, and whether or not I should be even fighting them. Because there's no point in trying to beat competition that you cannot be against. Like, the fight against the competition is going to be based off of the customers and the clients. Who do they already got in the bag? You feel me? And if you see how deep they are within down the clientele of their vein, you're not going to get them out. You feel me? You're not going to get them out. So I don't try to look for them. You know, I don't try to look for them. So after you beat your competition, you now have to be your competition. And here's what I mean by being your motherfucking competition. Every day, when you're advertising, after you're advertising and you studying and you paying attention, you have to view your analytics. You have to know your analytics. You have to know what the shit is happening, what your demographics are, what it's changing to, who the age ranges are, what everything. When you get to the point where you already beat your competition, now you just got to beat yourself every day. You feel me? You have to continue to beat yourself every motherfucking day. You know, when it comes to my advertising, I'm like, okay, cool. What's my new age range? How is this working? I know typically now, I can tell you, like, I know typically that my age range is now 25 to 45. Faithfully, I don't even waste my time with anybody outside of that, because I have been running this data for so long that I know, okay, bam, next time if I decide to run an ad or switch it up, automatically off rip, my audience is going to be 24 to 45. You feel me? And I still use both men and women openly, because it's like, you know, they're going to fine tune it to me too. But most of the audience, depending on which ad I'm running, you feel what I'm saying? Which advertising I'm running, it could either be, if I'm talking about So Frail, just the first one, I'm more going to cater towards the women. Women have been more, their analytics have been showing up more just for So Frail. So Frail 2, because it's called Toxic Femininity, men have been blowing it up thinking I'm talking about women. You know, do you know why I was able to do that? Because I understood that I needed to get that to a misogynistic audience. I know it seems fucked up, but you got to know your audience. I had to get that part to a misogynistic audience just for the title. You feel what I'm saying? So Frail, the reality of the black male masculinity, I got it to a black feminist, the black feminist, womanist audience first. The title. People have to get through the title first. So, but then with the men, with the So Frail 2, I targeted to men. Like, everybody's now under knowing that, oh, it's really about men and men being better. Yes, I know, but controversy sells. Controversy sells. Controversial titles, controversial books, controversial information. That's what sells to people. You dig what I'm saying? So you now have to tap into that. Like, when I first dropped So Frail, so many dudes like, yo, I got to go ahead and read that, John, because I know you talking that shit. I am talking that shit, but it's not about women. You feel me? And there's women right now who never read the book. And well, when it first came out, women said, oh, see here, I thought you was, you know, I was like, what are you talking about? You write books about toxic femininity. Did you read it? No, and I'm not going to. Okay, well, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not even going to argue with you. Shut up. Leave me alone. You feel me? I don't go into the back and forth with people who I know didn't read the book, because I know the book ain't got shit to do with the title. You feel what I'm saying? Because I know why I did that shit. You feel me? But again, it goes into that point. You know what I'm saying? But then I've also had women who were on that same spectrum. Oh, you talk about toxic femininity, didn't read it, and was like, I apologize. I know. Now just share it with somebody else. Like, share it with somebody else. I was like, yes, I'm trying to tell you what we have as men. You feel me? I'm trying to give y'all the breakdown. But if you can't get past the title, you won't get to the book, you know? Now, granted, I could have used all my other ones that I use to advertise and brand and shit, but I use So Frail because that one's done. And I've been working with So Frail for the longest. You feel me? I wrote So Frail, the first one in 2016. I wrote So Frail 2, I released last year, 2019. Now I'm working on So Frail 3, but So Frail is done. The last piece I have to do is just write a book, but the automation is done. I just got to add a few links once the book is finished and I publish it. But I wanted to talk about that because that was the first advertising journey I went through all the way through, where I went through advertising. I got the marketing, I got the branding, I got all of these things to where So Frail has created what it was needed to create for me. But so the examples that I'm able to use are a lot more, available. But now the process is just duplicatable because now I know how to apply the same things to my Mastering the Market course. I know how to apply them to my Hitting It Raw course. I know how to apply it to my Hitting It Raw book. I know how to apply it to my merchandise. I know how to apply it all because the system is the same. It doesn't change, you know what I mean? Because it works. Like I know now how to move them all the way through a funnel and everything like that. But that point is, the advertising of it all, the power of advertising is dope, but you have to know how to advertise. You feel me? You have to know how to advertise. So the point that I was saying about, after you beat your competition, you have to beat yourself every day. You have to beat yourself every day. Go into your analytics, find out, okay, who dropped off? Who came into? How did it shift? How did it change? Stay on top of your shit. See what your demographics is. Like I was saying, my demographics for the age range is between 25 and 45. That's what I fuck with. You feel what I'm saying? Black people, period. Like that's my main demographic already. Like, and that's not because I forced it, but I kind of ran that. But then it's like I based it off of the culture that we have. You feel me? And what we operate from. And so that's how it refines. So now, now I'm able to just use these same analytics and the data that I've obtained off of that and create what are called lookalike audiences. And I have several lookalike audiences that are now just being calibrated and being refined. You feel what I'm saying? And when I want to switch it, it's like, okay, I think this is starting to die out. You feel me? Let me put them down. Let me let them rest a bit. You feel me? My cold audiences, I don't use anymore. I don't have a cold audience, technically. I only have warm audiences. And warm audiences are people that, a cold audience is people that have never experienced anything that you have before. You feel what I'm saying? But it takes the cold audience, continual data that's picking up. So the people that are, submitting their emails, so, engaging with the post, commenting, like all of that stuff, who are adding and following the pages and all that creates a whole pool from my cold audience that now moves into what I create as my warm audience. From my warm audiences, the people that have engaged, I create the lookalike audience. So the lookalike audience, quote unquote, is a cold audience that starts off warm. You dig what I'm saying? I don't have to worry too much about whether or not they're really going to fuck with it because they are already just like the people who fuck with it. You feel what I'm saying? But they're a little colder. So it's just like, I have to now keep my content straight. I have to keep this in point and, check this out. So that was, every day I beat myself. Every day I beat myself. I've already beat my competition. I stand out. Nobody's talking about masculinity the way that I'm talking about. That's how I beat my competition already. You feel what I'm saying? It's different. I beat my competition more because I have social proof. Several reviews that I have says the same thing. Every black family, every black person, every black home needs this book in their house. That's enough social proof and it's verified on Amazon. I hate that it has to be that way, but I'm not mad at it anymore. I used to be like, yo, you shouldn't have to dictate Nah, you do. Social proof is very important. When I run my ads to my people that have clicked on my links and shit like that, it's like they have read the book, but, so it's like they blast it to their followers and their friends and shit. And they be like, yo, get this book now. The sales go up and I don't have to touch anything anymore. You feel what I'm saying? But that's because after I beat my competition, I had to beat myself. I refined and polished up every single thing I needed, and now it's just a duplicatable process. Now I know how to send each person to each aspect of what I need and put it all in autopilot. That's been my goal since I started becoming an entrepreneur. I wanted to work from anywhere and not have to touch shit anymore. And now So Frail So Frail is done. I don't have to touch So Frail ever again. Now I'm working on building the next few phases out. My Mastering the Market, that's going to be next. I'm going to create, I know my audience, I know everything. Now I just had to create, in addition to the advertising, I need to create the content associated with the advertising that's consistent, that makes everybody fuck with it and just let it rock. You feel what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. That's what advertising is. Advertising is getting to the right people, finding the right audience, turning customers into clients, appealing to that audience. And then when you start to, appealing to that audience and beating out your competition, that's how it is to advertise. Those are the components. You feel what I'm saying? Sell yourself, know your audience, appeal to your audience, cater to your customers and your clients, and then beat the competition. You feel me? Beat the competition, find a way to beat the competition and continually beat yourself in your advertising. From the advertising, you send that down to your marketing. You know, you find the people that are going to like what you have, then you market to them. You feel what I'm saying? And then from the marketing, you're able to, keep them, move them, evolve them, transform them, do whatever it is. But your marketing is how you now change the belief into make them stay where you are, and then you use that to refine your audience, because the people that have slipped into the marketing pool, they're there. Like they're there now. Like, you feel me? And then that helps you refine your audiences, to where now it's just a synergy and it's almost like a hit. It's almost like you can't miss. I mean, you don't get me wrong. You still have those days where, hey, I didn't sell anything today, but for the most part, it's like, this is it. I got it, because now everything is just a synergy and it's just refining yourself. But you have to understand the first point. You have to understand how to advertise. You feel me? Because if you're not going to advertise, like I said in the beginning, if you want to sell something every single day, you have to run ads. You have to advertise your shit. Otherwise, you feel me? You're wasting your time. You feel me? Don't try to do this by yourself. Start to leverage out a lot of these opportunities and a lot of these platforms. And master the shit. Master the shit. Because when you get to advertising and you learn how to do all of that shit, and you learn the full process of what it is to be a business owner, entrepreneur, and all of these things, and you learn how to keep this shit in motion, that's when you get to the points where you can work for yourself. And that's how you really secure the bags.
And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes Merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at Just Scenes Merch and get your merchandise right now.
And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. That's EntrepreNEGUS 5 advertising. Like I said, the first two are on my YouTube channel. I have a actual video series on those. And then EntrepreNEGUS 3, I don't remember the name of it. EntrepreNEGUS 4 is marketing, and then EntrepreNEGUS 5, which this one is advertising. I kind of want to just give my perspectives on them, because, I like the entrepreneurship that I have gone through. I had to figure this out. Like, I'm the first person in my immediate circle, in my family, that I know, who's doing this. So it's a lot of things that I'm learning. It's a lot of things that I'm working on. It's a lot of things that I have to put into use, because it was, I had to go find this information, right? But as I learned it, I'm like, yo, this is what makes it fun. You feel what I'm saying? This is what makes it fun. So now it's, like I said, having that first vein of things in autopilot, and then now start working on the other ones. Once everything is in autopilot, we good. We good. And I just have to get the rest of those things in motion, But yeah, advertising is the quintessential piece. That's the bridge. That's the thing that attracts the people. Now you have to keep the people. You have to, bring them in and actually get to them. So really, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, learn the ways of advertising. Learn the ways of marketing too, but learn the ways of advertising down to a T. Know your audiences. Know how to appeal to your audience. Know the difference between a customer and a client. Know how to cater to a customer. Learn how to cater better to a client. Learn your competition. Don't just assume that, I'm good. Like I said, I use So Frail as the example because my competition had a big head start on me. You feel me? If I want to use the book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man, that was a big head start. There was already a movie out. There's a book out. Steve Harvey's been a comedian for however long, and shit. This shit has already been on. It's like there was a lot of competition I had to fight through to get this book into that space. But once I started to create my own lane, it is what it is now. You feel what I'm saying? It is what it is now. It's just about growth and expansion, and constantly keeping it in those spaces. Hitting it raw, same thing. All of these different, I have to find my competition and beat them. And then I got to beat myself after I beat my competition. And that's what the continual advertising is. Knowing yourself, knowing how to sell yourself, knowing how to sell the aspect of yourself that's connected to your brand, because you can't sell everything the same way. I can't sell So Frail, the So Frail series, the way that I sell the Hitting the Raw program. I can't do that. You feel what I'm saying? I can't advertise my podcast the way that I advertise my merchandise or the way that I advertise my Mastering the Market course. These all require different versions of me. Therefore, they require different types of advertising because I'm reaching different customers, different clientele. These people have, there's not much in common. There's no overlap. There's no overlap. And that was my biggest, like I said, my biggest thing was I wanted it to be overlap. Oh, if you fuck with the Just Seen umbrella, if you fuck with me as Just Seen from the podcast, from the Instagram, then you'll fuck with me for everything else. That's not the case. There are a few people who have supported everything that I have just because it's me. But there are people that have supported none of what I have because it's me. You feel what I'm saying? And there's also people who have supported the aspect of me that caters to them. And I had to learn that there's different dynamics to each one of those. You feel what I'm saying? So that's why Just Seen became what it was, where it's like, it may appear that I have, what do you do? Like, I just had somebody ask me that the other day. I was like, what do you do? And I said, me. But I see that you do day trading and you teach that. Then you have the plant-based and then you're writing books. Like, what is it that I said? I do all of it because there's no limitation to me. You feel me? There's no limitation to me. Shit, you're liable to see a course under the Just Seen Academy soon about advertising and marketing. You feel what I'm saying? Because it's like, I've learned that there's no limitation to what I do, so I don't stick in one vein. And I have reached a point where I'm equally proficient in all the things that I do. So although I can't advertise or market my Mastering the Market course to my Hitting the Raw people, I can't advertise the trading and shit to that. I can't do that because those are different audiences. But I'm equally proficient in what I can give to the world from that perspective. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like all of these different veins, all of these different things that I'm now moving into. I've learned that advertising was a quintessential piece, but I had to separate the advertising. The So Frail version of me is not the same thing as the Mastering the Market version of me, so I don't give it that way. You feel me? The merchandise version of me is not the same as the podcast version of me as far as my advertising goes, because I have to cater to the customer and the client that I'm looking for. You feel what I'm saying? Which is about the audience, which is about how I appeal to the audience. Fuck, like, nobody's going to want to hear about, trading when they're trying to get some gems and some nuggets on some shit that's about relationships and philosophy. Like, you know what I mean? But I will say this, you hear those ads in there because it's mine. Like, those are the ads that I choose to fill those spots with. You feel me? I could do it with anything, but I just like doing the merch and the Mastering the Market a lot better. I might switch up the Mastering the Market ad now, or one of the other ones, but you feel me? That's only because it's mine. You feel what I'm saying? I never know who's looking for what. You dig what I'm saying? But, yeah, that's advertising, yo. That's advertising, selling yourself. Right now, you're a listener to the podcast, especially if you're one of my faithful listeners who's been here, because you bought into me. You're bought into my words. You bought into the things that I speak. You feel me? So you now listen to the podcast. You feel me? But because you bought into what I speak doesn't necessarily mean you'll buy into what I read. I mean, what I've written. You know what I mean? And what you have to read doesn't necessarily mean you'll buy into, what I teach from a different perspective. You know what I mean? So I had to cater to that. When I'm advertising my podcast, I only go to people who listen to podcasts. Why the fuck would I do anything else? You feel what I'm saying? I appeal to people who are listening to podcasts. Like, who's my podcast competition? People who are talking the shit that I'm talking and, how they're doing it. So my competition as far as my podcast is different because it's like, it's split. Like, that's why my title is Profane Profundity. Because it's like, do I target the audience who's looking into mysticism and looking into spiritual growth and, things like that? No, because I'll miss out on them. Because when they see the profane part, it'll be like, he's not guru guy. He's not that. But do I tap into the people who are looking more towards the profanity, who like that raw, uncut, unfiltered expression of themselves, or unfiltered expression of what it is they bring to the table? I go more towards those people because it's like if I it's easier to get the profundity into them because it's like, damn, I fucks with that. You feel me? Because I know my audience. It took a long time to learn all of this shit. It did. But as an entrepreneur, if you are in this vein and you are doing this shit, you need to learn it. Look, I'm telling you, we had switched 100% digital. I told motherfuckers it was coming in 2015. Digital was going to be the way to go. Now you can do all this shit from your smartphone. You feel me? Use your smartphone to be smart. But yeah, start tapping. If you're an entrepreneur, start knowing your audiences. Learn your audiences. Learn yourself too. And learn how to advertise the right way. And then from there, segue into the marketing. Segue into these other things like, and build your brands and expand, yo. Expand your shit. That's all you. This probably all you're missing. I mean, of course, you got to go deeper into it and find out a lot of the other things to it. But you're probably missing the advertising, the understanding of how to present it. You can't sell to everybody. You only sell to the people that want to buy your shit. You can only sell to people. Take it from a motherfucker who learned the hard way. You feel me? Who learned the hard way. You feel me? Don't let the followers get to you. You feel me? Don't let the followers get to you, man. I got on my main page? I got like 6,000 or some shit like that. I think I'm good there. I hope nobody else follows me. Motherfuckers getting annoying now. But like, you feel me? I used to think, yo, I'm gonna sell something to each one of these motherfuckers. No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. Some of these motherfuckers just on your page just to be on your page, just steal shit. They don't even follow you back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so you got to factor all of that shit in. Some of these people you don't even know you're following. You know what I mean? So it's never a point of worrying about your followers. You're worried about followers when you need to get your dollars up. Word to Drizzy. You feel what I'm saying? And to get your dollars up, it's not going to be with your followers. Your followers are only, your followers are social proof. I'm going to keep it a buck with you because I was talking about social proof and I'm going to wrap it up. Your followers are your social proof. What is it that, qualifies you to speak on whatever it is that you speak on? Your followers determine that. That's the only thing you use your followers for. Not likes, not to buy your shit. They're for social proof. So when you're running traffic, when traffic has to come, when they come into your pages and the shit like that, they're like, oh, they popping. They popping. So they're going to want to fuck with you just because of our social proof. People pay attention to the likes, shares, and comments and all of that shit as social proof. You feel me? You don't pay attention to that shit. You leverage it as social proof. If you got 7,000-8,000 people following you and shit, cool, leverage that shit. You don't even got to know these motherfuckers. Leverage that shit. So when you sell something, when you say, hey, look, this is what I'm putting into reality, people gonna, oh, you got this many people listening, you're an influence. You got this many people paying attention to you. Yeah, if you're starting off on a new brand, a new thing, yeah, it's gonna be hard getting over that hump. But leverage your things. This is why my thing is called the Just Seen umbrella and everything is still connected. Because even with building each one of my individual pages, it's building slower. I leverage my main page. And I create the audiences off of that and I send it to the people and I leverage so I got like 6,000 some followers, right? I get the traffic I get on my page a week is probably I get like 3,400 pages or whatnot, right? 3,400 individual Instagram pages and engage with my shit a week. And it's like, in a month, it's like 2,700 in a week. But yeah, I leveraged that. I created a lookalike audience based off of those 2,700 people. Okay. Within that lookalike audience, I added certain demographics. Like I said, I know, for example, with Sofa, I know that the people that fuck with the book are between the ages of 25 and 44. So that's another part that I go for, right? So when I add that into it, then I also add people within this bracket that I've already found who are like the people that fuck with my main page. I look for people who read, look for people who are looking for masculinity, and look for people who are looking for personal development, right? The hard work is done because I stay engaged on my main page. You feel what I'm saying? And then I leverage that audience, create a lookalike audience to leverage that. And then it helps me create the true fine-tuned audience that is going to go to Sofa. You feel me? And then, of course, I collect all of that. Then once I get that set up to where it's enough people to create a lookalike audience, I no longer need my main page audience. Now it's just all so frail. This is all the people that are going to be fucking with books and shit. The rest of the shit change. It becomes easy. I do the same thing for my Hitting It Raw. I do the same thing for the podcast. I do the same thing for the merch. I do the same thing for the trading. Anybody who already fucks with the type of person that I am, then here's my information based off of the extension of that. You feel what I'm saying? Because it's easier at that point. You feel me? It's easier at that point because these are the type of people who fuck with the type of content that I put out. Now, within that, let me fine tune and see who fucks with the specific thing that I have. And now I don't have to worry about finding cold audiences. I don't have to worry about finding the individual people that I have to get through so much. Now it's just like, yo, here's this, that, and the third. You fuck with this type of energy that I have. Now you fucks with that. So that's really what I wanted to bring up with that as far as advertising, as far as your advertising, I recommend, go back and listen to all of the previous EntrepreNEGUS. I give a lot of gems in them. You feel me? I get a lot of gems in them, a lot of real world gems, that a lot of the processes that I actually gone through as an entrepreneur. And I feel like, a lot of us are trying to go into that stage, but it's like, it's a lot that goes into it. I've been at this for 5 years. 5 years, bro. Since 4. Before I got heavy into it, like 2016, it started 2016, because at the end of 2015, that's when I met up and started with my MOM shit. But 2016, I started heavy. So I've been at this for 4 years. It'll be going on 5. And the process was fun. The process was great. So like I always say, learn from my lumps. Please learn from my lumps. And, you can always, and if I'm always open to book sessions for chatting with Seeing, where we could talk about this shit in depth. Because, at the end of the day, once I make a course out of this shit, you already know what it's going to be. Like, you already know it's going to be the shit that I go through the trenches for to get back to y'all. I make courses out of it. You feel me? I make courses out of it. But this course right here is like, it's going to be dope, because I'm going to show you the advertising side. I'm going to show you the marketing side from 2 different dynamics. I'm going to show you setting up web pages, web designs, different email marketing, and all of the different setup and templates and all of that shit. How to break that shit down, because it's what I'm doing. It's what works. So when I free up all of the time that I have and, have it 100%, you'll get it. You'll get it. And then, I'll show you how to do things like affiliate marketing, how to do certain shit like that to keep money in your pocket, and then do it autopilot, It's so simple. It could all be so simple. To shit, like, this world is transitioning to such a positive age because it's all digital. Like, yo, you're ahead of the curve if you already started this. You feel me? Trust me, you're ahead of the curve if you already started this. But that's probably going to be something I discuss in another episode of EntrepreNEGUS. I don't know what I'm going to be talking about next. Like I said, that's pretty much one of the things. It'll probably be just touching up on something that I mentioned in the previous one. But yeah, going forward, if your advertising is on point, keep your advertising on point. You dig? And expand. Learn how to master your audiences and all that other shit. But as always, go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And if you're building a little entrepreneur, start teaching them how to advertise and market now, because they will need it by the time they turn 18 years old, because the world is really about to change. It's already changed. You feel me? We're not going back to the old way. It cannot go back to the old way. We have been in this new way for so long. Everything is going digital. I'm telling you, just stay on point. Stay on point, because new things are on the horizon. All right. So with that being said, I see y'all on the next one. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.